Knights, hearken. And guys, we are going to be recapping the 2021 KDNF Winter Festival. I do this every time they have a festival. Sometimes they decide to skip it, but this year we definitely got one, and it has a lot of great information in it. It's kind of coming at a weird time for DFOG. You know, we've had 100 cap, it feels like forever. We've been chilling in 100 cap, and I'm not really ragging on 100 cap. 100 cap is great cap. It has a lot of great things going for it. But there's a lot of new changes coming with the new level cap that's coming in 2022. And yes, indeed, we are getting a new level cap. I just spoil it right now. We're not incrementing by 5 like we usually do, guys. We've been doing 5 like this whole time. We had even one level cap that was just one level. But, you know, we're jumping big. 110 cap coming in 2022. There is so much we got to go over in this recap, so I better start right now. I want to give a huge shout out to my favorite content creator for DFOG, Raven. Please check out his website, dfoarchive.blogspot.com. He gave me permission to use this article. It is so well constructed, well made, has a lot of great links, very organized in a very organized fashion, way more organized than what I'm going to be in this video. So I'm going to leave this first thing in the description below. And I also want to give a shout out to where he, Raven himself, actually got most of his information. You guys see here, there was, at the time of the stream, they were doing like a live translation, this guy named Half Mango. And there was also other streams that I was watching during the time that it was going down. I had to stay up mad late. Like, I think it was a couple weeks ago, Sunday. I stayed up till like 4 in the morning just kind of going over all these changes. It was hype, but I was tired, and you know, a lot of people, a lot of dedicated people staying up, and he's kind of, you know, rewrite this and re-clarify a lot of the things that were talked about. And a lot of the details can also be searched for in this document as well. So we got a lot of different sources, and I know a lot of other people who were streaming as well. Half Mango, Raven have compiled it. A lot of people, you know, I give shout out to all you guys who were kind of doing that live translation and all that. It was really awesome. It was worth staying up to get all this news. But I kind of want to recap this, not just to tell you the information, but to kind of give you my opinion of it. Go check out Raven's article. Go check out Raven's other articles. He's got anything DFO related. Look, DNF Duel. So, I mean, everything DFO related. This guy's obviously a really big fan. So, anyway, enough gushing about that, guys. Let's use his article right now to recap some of the stuff that we got. Now, to kind of go in order as to what happened. So, a couple weeks ago, I stayed up really late. And I got a picture. I got this weird picture right here. Look at this. Now, where'd this come from? Now, oddly enough, during the stream of the KDNF Winter Festival, the Chinese festival was going on at the same time. They basically went concurrently. They had their own event, their own festival. They had their own release notes. And this image right here circulated a little bit before then. Okay, so I'm going to be honest. We were already spoiled as to what the 5th class is going to be. They didn't know if it was official or not, but as it turns out, it was indeed official. We'll talk a little bit about him. Honestly, guys, I'm not really that hype about fake-ass Iron Man here. But, you know, we did get kind of spoiled. So the Chinese, I don't know who got access to this, but they're probably dead now because they spoiled it a couple days earlier. We got some new Third Awakenings, guys. Some new Third Awakening pictures. I have them all right here. 6 new characters getting new awakenings. I'm so hyped for all of these. Yo, why they gotta do my soccer mom like that? Yo, soccer mom looking like sexy soccer mom now. Look at the skirmisher. I'm so happy they got rid of skirmisher, the current one. He looks weird, bruh. I love the shaman there. Look at the Azura. The Indra's looking tight. Really blue. Blue man group. Oh my gosh, this is what, the 3rd time? I think this is the 2nd time they've redone Ghost Boy, and they needed to, because this one looks way 100 million times better than the one that's in game. Even after they fixed it one time, this is where it's at. And then finally, guys, we got the Kunoichi. Basically stuff that doesn't matter at all. I just wanted to show that they are working on that. Still fixing some of the Third Awakenings and stuff like that. So these are kind of things that were revealed at the time. And then here's yet another picture again of how the new 5th job class for the Gunner is going to be looking. It's kind of weird, you know. In game, they had like a little teaser of this guy, this Gunner. We knew it was going to be a Gunner. He was riding like a motorcycle. And then now he's just like, dude, he's like a assault rifle army man, Iron Man. Like, what? It has nothing to do with a bike. So terrible teaser. But I guess the character looks cool enough. He's unique enough. Now, surprisingly, this is not going to be a new gun type. This is going to utilize the same gun weapon type that the mechanic uses. So he actually uses an auto gun. This is an auto gun type weapon. I know, looks like a straight up, AR, but this is an auto gun, which is good because I was not about to have them having 6 freaking weapon types. But there you go. He looks kind of tight. And if you want, I'm not really going to go over him in too much detail. But again, like I said, Raven does have his own article on this character, the Assault, and it is super in-depth. Every single one of his skills, any one of his talisman skills, anything that you want is in this recap and has GIFs and pictures of how the skills look. So if you're really excited about this character, which I personally am not, but yeah, go check him out. Go check out this video. But what I will do, however, is look at kind of the trailer video that they showcased, because I think it was kind of hype. There you go. Here it goes. We'll watch this, though. Dude, he kicked a little soccer ball, bro. Look at him. I saw he had a lucky triangle on. He's using his kicks a lot, which Gunner actually does that a lot, Okay, I gotta bring attention to this Contra wall. This is literally Contra, bro. Like, the walls that shoot. Come on now. Nice first awakening there, I think. Okay, he just pulled out a big ass rock. Some people, when we were watching the trailer live, everybody was like, yo, this is Launcher 2.0. Because he does have a lot of explosions and stuff. But yeah, this spider guy right here, he's going to be featured. This is not just a whatever thing. This is so it's automatic on its own, and then you can jump into it and ride it. And I guess that's the appeal. Honestly, not nearly as cool as, like, I don't know, Dragon Knight. I think that's what they're kind of going with, is like Dragon Knight simultaneous cast, but with the ability to jump into it. Here's the 3A. Dude, that's Launcher 2.0, man. He's just way more mobile. So, if anything, I'm a little bit more hyped than him than like Launcher, but that's not really saying much. He does look freaking cool. Like, dude, his 2A artwork looks sick. 1A, he's looking kind of derpy. He's the infantry right here. Now he's like the sergeant, and now he just kind of went completely off the rails at the 3A. But I think he looks cool, but I don't think I'm that hyped to play him. So anyway, guys, if you want a real recap of this character, go please check out that article from Raven. It is super in depth and it goes over all the kills and talismans. So if you really are interested on the character, and maybe you want to preemptively farm for him or something like that, I don't recommend it since they usually have great events. And by the time he comes, honestly, we'll be in 110 cap anyway. So just get hype for your boy. All right, skipping through the article a little bit, guys. We got the Awakening rework. This thing right here, by the way, guys, is a small thing. It was kind of mentioned really quickly during the stream, but look at this. This comparison is out of this world. So basically what they're saying is they're going to try to use multi-threading to speed up the load times. Look at the load time for that dungeon, bruh. Now, obviously, this is going to be based off of how good your computer can handle multi-threading, that being your CPU. But look at this. My CPU is like state-of-the-art, man. I should be able to... look at that. Oh, my God. Gonna be honest, this is probably one of those hype things because I run a lot of characters. I run a lot of dungeons. And I spend so much fucking time in the loading screens. Especially when I restart dungeons. Like, dude, this will be game-changing. All they have to do is speed up the dungeon reward screen and speed up the load times, and guys, I'm about to be gaming for real. Like, that is a bigger change than I think a lot of people are letting on. If they can manage to get it to work, this is exciting news for me. For me, at least. I don't know about you guys, but dude, look at how much faster it is, man. It's like instant. Whew. Now, one thing that they did mention, the director said, this is like the best case scenario. I hope they didn't like edit that to make it look better than it's going to be, but he said best case scenario it'd be this fast, this much faster. So that's really exciting. And honestly, for a game this easy, I would say, this is not like it's loading huge assets. This really should be how fast it loads. I mean, this is honestly a sprite-based game. It should be able to load these up instantly. Nowadays we got state-of-the-art games. This is not a state-of-the-art game. It's 15 years old. It should be able to load this fast. So I'm surprised it's taking him this long, but I'm excited. Anyway, guys, like I said, 5th job class for the Gunner. His name is Assault, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Assault has an assault rifle. He looks really assault-like, aside from his 3A. But, yeah, go check him out, guys. Oh man. Oh man. You cannot say I didn't call this, by the way. Synergy class removal. Yo, I have fought the good fight. I'm battle hardened. I'm damaged. I'm bleeding out. But guys, on my deathbed, I will smile knowing that I accomplished the impossible. We got rid of synergies. They're gone. Deleted from 110 cap. They're getting rid of synergies, and what they're going to be doing is basically giving them an 8.5 damage buff to what they have now. And then they're actually going to buff up the Eterna gear. Basically, if you want to play a synergy still, you want to be that potion for your team, they're going to basically say Eterna gear is the only way you're going to be able to do that. And honestly, all the people who try to rag on all the benefits that Eterna gives, you know, like in terms of having the ability to play new content as a new player and all of that shit, it's still going to exist with the Eterna gear. But they're also going to be, you know, just removing synergies entirely, which I have been saying since the very start. You cannot say I haven't been saying that. I think the idea of synergies in this game was so limiting and so stupid. There's no reason for it to have it. There's no reason for this arbitrary buff to be applied to these other characters, especially when they all play very similarly to one another. You know, it's not very smart how they do the synergies anyway. Some of these characters just literally cast a buff and that's it. You know, it's like, dude, get rid of this bullshit. And they did it. Now, the only question I have about this is the 8.5% damage buff enough to bring them up in line with Deep's characters? That's really the question that I don't know if that's the case. Like, did they nerf my Paladin 8.5% more than my EK? I don't believe that's the case. I don't think that's true. I think my EK is more than 10% stronger than my Paladin, even when you account for them not having a synergy buff. It's just like, dude, there's no way this 8.5% is going to account for the damage discrepancy that my Paladin has to my EK. So I think there's still going to be some balancing that has to go around with this. Giving it 8.5 flat is across the board is really not, I don't think, going to handle it. They're going to have to go to a class by class basis. But it's going to be helpful. It's going to be nice. And I love that, you know, they're going this route. There were some other options that they could have gone. I'm glad that they just got rid of it. Gave everybody a damage buff for now. Probably go fix it later. And then, you know, if you want to be a potion, then wear the potion set and do no damage. Basically double down on this idea that if you want to be a potion, you can't play the game properly. And I think that's fair. All right, another small thing that they're kind of doing, you know, they have not forgotten about revamps, you know. We've gotten a few of them. I didn't get to mention them at the time, but we got a lot of changes. Like, for instance, we got Third Awakening changes for my female striker. She's getting a brand new 3A. Azura has been, or at least I know DFOG hasn't gotten it yet, but Azura has been completely reworked. His Agni Pentacle, his Ground Quaker, all of these skills are like mad different in Korea. We have not gotten those changes, and they're still revamping older characters like this. So, for instance, February 10th in Korea, they're going to be updating the male Spitfire and the male Nen, and they're just going to be revamping them completely. You know, male Nen, you're going to actually focus on the spiral gauge. Right now, it's such a weird system. It's not as bad, I don't think, as the battery system on Pathfinder, but it's on that same level. It's like, why even bother having a gauge if you don't even really use it? You know, so that's kind of how it goes with male Nen. He has this gauge. It buffs up some of his skills, but it's not really integrated very well. I think only a couple skills even raise the gauge up. It's such a weird skill, and it's good that they're planning on changing that. And male Spit, you know, he's going to be getting more focus on his X-Ring and bullet skills. And then he's going to bring back Neil the Sniper, which is a fan favorite skill, mostly for the Chronicle. I wonder what this video does. Is this a Chronicle set for Neil the Sniper? Yeah, that's what this is. Basically, you go into the sniping mode and you start sniping fools. A la, you know, I don't know, Silent Scope. That's what I was thinking. Silent Scope.
Silent Scope.
That was my game back then, dude. You guys remember Silent Scope? That shit was tight. Remember the airplane level? That was so cool. Anyway, Neil the Sniper's coming back, along with some other changes. I honestly think Melspit, even as an extreme focused character, he is so boring. I play female brawler and I have so much fun. It's not that I don't like extreme characters, because she in particular is so much fun. It's just I think he is like on another level. I think he needs to have some more to him to make him more interesting. Maybe even make him more crazy. You know, back in the day, he used to have a Second Awakening active that made him drop all these meteors and stuff from the sky. That shit was tight. That shit was more fun than what he's got today, which is kind of lackluster, honestly. All right, guys, we didn't get a lot of word of this, but we do got another Otherverse dungeon. I'll just showcase it. Really, what this is, guys, is the old Otherverse. And this was actually in, like I said earlier in this video, they actually had a Chinese stream concurrently with the KDNF stream. In KDNF, they didn't show this video, but in China, they showed the video. So this one right here. Now, the weird thing about this is that this is really just old Otherverse, guys. Otherverse, you know, way back when, we're talking 70 cap type shit, 80 cap type shit. This is what it was. And I don't see a lot of changes. There are some, like this has changed slightly. It seems to be going faster. This has changed completely. There's a lot of changes I see. But, you know, for the most part, it seems like they copy-pasted a lot of the content. So it's back. It's Neo Otherverse. I love how they use this song for like everything. It's cool. They go through all the dungeons. This Ozma fight is completely different. Trust me, this fight was super cancer before. It still looks cancer, but not as cancer. Oh yeah, Void Rift. That's my boy. Actually, I really like this dungeon. Okay, shout out to Bakal. If I don't get DDR, I'm gonna be pissed. I don't see any DDR, Neopal. Oh look, there are people jumping. There's the mash. For some reason, people couldn't mash out of that. Dude, they really did showcase every dungeon. This one is more or less the same. The middle area is like a bunker, but it doesn't deflect bullets, only grenades. It's weird. The grenades are falling, dude. Get in the bunker. Yeah, there you go. Oh my god, the land runners. Those giant ones that will one-shot you. They're the scariest guys. Alright, so honestly, guys, we don't know anything about this. They do look very similar, and, you know, we'll have to see. I doubt they're really going to be giving Chronicle gears again, since, as you will soon see, we're going to have a new epic gearing system entirely. But it does seem like we do have much of the same. A lot of the dungeons are focused mostly on gimmicks. My guess is there will be some opportunities to kind of burst through it, but a lot of gimmicks. That's kind of the idea with the Otherverse dungeons, and we'll just have to see, you know. These, you know, back in the day, the Otherverse dungeons were kind of so gimmicky that you needed guides to really understand how to even do it. And that's kind of where I kind of broke into the scene with DFOG, making guides for this dungeon, because it was one of those things that were super gimmicky and not a lot of people knew how to do it. And, you know, some of you guys might remember back in the day, my Masters of the Otherverse series is where I started making DFOG content in earnest. So I'm kind of happy that it's brought back. We'll have to see, though, what it's kind of used for, because I'm not a big fan of just rehashing old content and kind of parading it off as new content or anything that we have to do when we've already done this years in the past. So we'll have to see. I'm excited for it, but hopefully it's not something it's too integral. I want to see some new stuff. And speaking of new stuff, guys, new level 110 cap. Whew! So guys, we are getting 8 normal dungeons and 2 advanced dungeons, kind of like the Oculus. And there are a lot of promotional videos. I don't really want to go over all of them. I'll let you guys look through them. We are going to look at a couple of them. I'm really interested about this one, mostly because of the setting of it. I'm going to show you guys this one right now. Basically, the lore here is that after we defeated Ozma, Michael tries to purify the area with his, you know, holy essence here, and totally fails. And so now they have the holy, it's the holy war, man. It's so tight. This music is tight, dude. I also want to bring attention to my boy Sonic, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog. He's in this one. You'll see him right here coming up. This guy right here, that's Sonic. You want to know why? Look at this move he does, bro. He just, what? That is the most ghetto animation, bruh. He was spinning for like a minute. Turned into a Sonic ball for real. Anyway, this music is so epic. I can't wait for this dungeon. This boss is epic. Look at her. Woo! Actually, I'm not sure if that's a guy or a chick or not. I'm assuming it's a chick, but you never know. You never really know. Really cool big ass attacks, and look at how many health bars. Like, this is about to be a hard ass dungeon. I cannot wait, though. This is like a really cool setting. It's always my favorite, you know, angels, knights, and stuff. That's always fantasy-esque type of shit. That's always my favorite. So I can't wait for the Saints War. Also want to bring attention to Noblesse Code, because this is one of these very, very interesting dungeons. I do believe it is mentioned later on in here. But Noblesse Code is one of these dungeons where it's going to be where you can farm epics, and it seems to be its own scenario. And the cool thing about this dungeon is that you actually can run it on multiple characters on your account, and what it drops is account-bound epics or account-bound rewards. So basically, very similar to how you are doing like squad mode or something like that. This isn't really squad mode, but you're doing it solo, and then the rewards that you get are account-bound, so, or at least to the characters that you have ran it on. And in that case, you basically can farm 4 times and divvy up those rewards 4 different ways. I think that's going to be mentioned here, but this is the dungeon. Very gimmicky, obviously. New stuff we're going to have to learn. Kind of badass, you know, very futuresque theme instead of the Holy Knights theme. Now we got, like, you know, mechs and all of this shit right here. Damn, girl. Anyway, that looks like Jericho. You guys remember Jericho? But yeah, this one looks pretty badass as well. You know, they got a lot of different settings. But yeah, go check out the rest of these dungeons. Basically, guys, 8 normal dungeons, 2 advanced dungeons. And you might be wondering, why are they bringing such attention to the normal dungeons? Well, the key with this level cap, and let me explain. 110 cap, the director wants to go a new direction, okay? And I think the best way to explain it is, if you guys have been doing the Spectre dungeon event, if you guys leveled a Spectre, it's basically like that, okay? We're taking the normal dungeons and we're treating them like dungeons that can drop epic gear, okay? So literally, no more farming hell mode, guys. I'm going to skip down to how the gears work. I'm just going to point out to one thing that is mentioned here. No more hell mode. No more hell mode. No more Guide of Wisdom. You're going to be getting your epics from the regular dungeons, okay? The ones that we're kind of talking about here. So just like the Spectre area, once you get to max level on Spectre, you unlock the ability to drop epics off of the bosses, off of the normal dungeons. And they're basically going that route with this way as well. You don't no longer need to farm materials on the side to be able to get, you know, these entries to be able to farm hells like we've been doing since the very beginning of time in this game. Okay, no more freaking hell modes. That is so hype. That basically what that means is, as long as your character is able to run the high level content, you know, and as they will talk about here, it is possible to run into here at the very beginning of the cap. Basically, you don't need any gear. Up to Osmograd is the level of difficulties that you have here, and that's what's kind of talked about here. Normal difficulty, basically you can just run up in there with no gear whatsoever. King difficulty, basically Ozma level, well, actually hero difficulty, Ozma level content, Ozma upgraded level content. And the benefit there being that you're going to be getting account-bound rewards, which is huge. This is a huge benefit for people who have multiple characters that are above Ozma level ready, because what that means is you can use your alts to funnel your other alts, and that's a really great advantage that you have over characters who are just starting out in this game. Basically, you know, you're going to be able to funnel materials, account-bound materials, to characters who actually need it, and that's a really big benefit. That's kind of how they're approaching this. You know, if you're spending all this time devoting into 100 cap and you're preparing for 110 cap, this is the benefit that you get. You're able to do the hero difficulty. And then obviously the king difficulty, hero difficulty. You can do the harder difficulties, start funneling materials to be able to gear your alts faster. So yeah, how that works, we have normal dungeons. If you bring higher geared characters, you can start funneling materials or drops to other characters on your account. And then finally, guys, this is kind of something that we're going to have to see how it plays out more. But basically, any of the advanced dungeons, I'm talking things like Oculus, you know, they're no longer having a weekly entry to these dungeons. Instead, they're going to be limited by this tickets and play point system, which is where you spend your FP to get points, and then you can utilize the tickets for these advanced dungeons by utilizing those points. So essentially, you have to farm yourself entries, and by doing that, the reason that they wanted to do that, as described when I was watching the stream of it, the director didn't like how people would wait until reset and then do all the content right then on reset. Like Tuesday, Wednesday are the only days that you can really find all these parties to do this content that just reset. I'm talking Black Purgatory, I'm talking Oculus. Like, people are doing it right at reset. He didn't really like that because it kind of forced people to play only on those days, which he wanted it to be more free. And he also didn't like how it was only one time a week, where if you felt like you missed a week because like you were busy or something, well, now you're behind, right? And it kind of felt like homework, like you have to do it or you're going to fall behind. So that's kind of the idea with this tickets and play system. Basically, you have to earn yourself the ability to run the dungeon as much as you want. So as long as you spend the FP and you get your tickets, you can use as many tickets as you want for throughout the week. So you do have to earn it still, you know, but you're not going to be limited, okay, once a week and only on these days. No, it's like you can do it as many times as you want as long as you have the points to do it. I don't know how this is going to play out in the long run. You know, this where you spend FP to get points. Well, if I have 50 alts and somebody else doesn't have as many alts, I'm obviously going to get way ahead of that person who only has a couple characters, you know, because I can spend way more FP. So there might be a limit to how much FP you can spend. So in a sense, it is still kind of gated, but who knows? I'm also kind of curious as to what they mean by spend FP. Does it mean it has to be an optimal level dungeons? Does it mean can I throw away my FP? Does FP Express have a use now? You know, FP Express has not had a use. I think I can only think of one use of FP Express, and that is farming for your pet level. Like if you wanted to like boost your pet level as fast as possible and burn your FP as fast as possible, the best way to do it was to run special dungeons and to just burn your FP like that. But aside from that, there was no real use for FP Express. Now there's a real reason, right? If you have to burn your FP just to get points, well, I can do that. I can do that really easily on a whole bunch of alts, just bullshitting through dungeons. So we'll have to see. You know, I'm really kind of on the fence on this. I don't know how they're going to balance this because I feel like it's a real easy way for people who have a lot of alts like myself to just get ahead in this game. Way more than somebody who doesn't even have that ability. You know, I can do, if there is no limit to how many times I can do this dungeon, then I'm just going to go ham like crazy on my whole account and just spend FP, and never run out. So this is what I was talking about earlier, guys. One of the advanced dungeons, noblesse code. The one with this one again, with the mechs and all of that stuff. This dungeon right here is going to have a squad mode system. I don't know if this picture is going to come up here, but yeah, you basically have your own... oh, here it is. This is a better picture. Basically, you run those 4 characters. You get an account bound. You get all of these mats here at the bottom, and then you can funnel those epics to whoever you want, which is freaking awesome. Super good. Obviously, this happens all the time where you're farming each individual character, but they get something you want on another character. No longer the case. You can pick up to 4 characters, and there's a very high epic drop chance for this dungeon. So, looking forward to that, and it's just one of many different opportunities to gear, and yet another reason why you want to have multiple alts in this game. You know, as the director said, he wants to try to tone down on systems that can benefit people who have alts, and then in the same breath, he has a system like this which benefits people who have at least 4 different geared characters, which is really exciting for me since I'm gearing so many characters. And hopefully you guys are not just playing one character, because I think just like this is another good example as to why you don't want to be doing that. But guys, we've talked a little bit of how you actually get these gears. We haven't talked about the gears themselves. Now, I did mention we have increased our level cap to 110. The gears are going to be at 105. There's like really no reason as to why. I think the director said something along the lines of, well, we've always done it like this. We're going to change it up a little bit. The one thing that's really going to be changed up huge, I mean, there's a lot of things. I think what's best explained actually is in this picture here. But one thing that's huge, guys, is they're going to simplify the damage mod. Basically, if you go in game right now, you have so many damage mods, dude. You have attack damage, crit damage, additional crit damage. You have bonus damage, all attack damage, PMI, strengthen it. Shit is stupid. It's stupid. In BP, dude, you gotta have a freaking PhD to freaking the fact that you need a calculator to determine how to fucking rearrange your puzzle pieces to get the most damage. It's just a stupid little mini game you have to play. It's like, dude, this is way too much fucking work for what ultimately amounts to a little bit more damage, dude. I should not have to try this hard. BP mods, I know it's simple once you understand the idea of multiplicative modifiers. Once you get that, but dude, you shouldn't have to get that, dude. The BP mod should just be as simple as is the number higher than what it was before? Boom, you're done. Like, this is such a smart thing for them to do, just to simplify everything. Just say, you know what, fuck all this shit, okay? One damage mod, that's it. I didn't really think this was an issue, but I do kind of see that new players shouldn't have to learn a whole nother language just to understand how damage mods are calculated. It really should just be as simple as, is this number higher? There you go. Like, the damage shouldn't be that complicated. The fact that they're simplifying it is a good thing, in my opinion. Some people might argue, you know, whatever. Honestly, I'm all for this. Just higher numbers means higher damage. And as you will soon see, the new gears are going to be focusing less on just damage mods. So again, you have the one simple damage mod, but then a lot of the setups are going to have, you know, a lot of unique effects. Has one mentioned right here. Your cooldown reduction rate is increased or decreased when the enemy's in groggy, for instance. So you know, when an enemy is in a groggy state, you'll have access to higher burst combos than you normally would have, which is kind of interesting. Very interesting. One other thing that's going to be changed completely, and this is something that we honestly in DFO have never experienced. We've always had this idea that we have to get a set. We need to get a set, whether it be a, you know, it used to always be a 5-3-3, and then the weapon's on its own. Okay, and then they changed it in 100 cap. They introduced this idea of a 2-set effect, 3-set effect, 5-set effect, and then the mean pieces as well. Practical Wisdom kind of went in that direction where they said, okay, instead of being a set, we're going to use one slot of gear to just be ultra powerful. And that's kind of what they talk about here. POWs and Mythics are going to basically stay into the next cap, but they're getting rid of all of the set effects. So that is a huge thing, guys. So they're getting rid of all the set effects. Basically, we're going to have single pieces of gear that are going to encapsulate all of 105 caps gear, which is going to be a lot more freedom than even what we had in 100 cap, which is kind of weird for me to say because I always kind of praise 100 cap for being the most versatile we've ever had in DFO, and it's true. But once 105 comes out, it's going to be even more versatile than that, because literally you don't have to think about any other slots of gear aside from that one slot, which is huge. And the other cool thing about that is that you're not really looking for the best in slot gear. What you're looking for are the options that make your character the best. So you're going to see right here, it gets mad complicated. But essentially what we have here, guys, every piece of gear or every slot of gear is now going to have 4 options on it. And those options themselves can be leveled up. You guys can see right here, this gear on the left right here has like option 1, all these other effects, option 2, 3, 4, and they each have their own individual level to them. And how you increase those levels is basically merging duplicates to get EXP on those gear. You can also take Ozma pieces and Sirocco pieces and upgrade them as well. Basically what I'm saying here, guys, is with the new level cap, you're not going to worry about getting the sets anymore. You're just going to worry about getting the right modifiers on your gear, which you might be thinking, okay, well, shit, this is going to be way, way hard because there's a bunch of RNG, and there is, but there is a means to, and this is how you upgrade them right here. You guys can see they're actually increasing a lot. You know, you basically have this level, you know, this duplicate necklace right here, increasing the EXP by a lot. The level is also logarithmic, so it's going to be quick at first and then exponentially a lot less. Something that you're also going to be using right here, you can see this is an Ozma level 100 necklace, and you can take that and honestly look at how much EXP you're getting, guys. So from level 8 to 32 instantly from this Ozma epic right here. So you can kind of use that to level up your gear tremendously right when the cap comes out, which is yet another reason why you want to save all of your Ozma pieces, guys. I'd say it's obviously very beneficial to keep doing Ozma, but guys, don't merge your Ozma pieces. Okay, whatever you do, don't try to merge your Ozma pieces to try to optimize and get the perfect Ozma set, okay? Keep whatever Ozmas that you get, use whatever Ozmas that you get, because what you can do with those epics later is merge them into the new gear. So honestly, if you can take anything away from this recap video, save your Ozma pieces, save your Sirocco pieces, because you can use them in the next level cap, and you honestly do not need to optimize your Ozma set that much anyway, as far as I'm concerned, because there's no real reason to it. There is a reason to keep your awesome pieces because of this upgrading system. And on top of that, you might be wondering, okay, well, what about the mods themselves? Can we change those? And it's not made super clear, but effectively, out of the 4 modifiers that can be on a piece of gear, you can take one from another piece of gear and switch it with the one that you're trying to switch. So you can see right here, he has this number 1 mod. He wants to switch it with the number 2 mod on this other identical piece of gear, and basically it replaces it. Now, the one thing we don't know yet, and it's not clear yet, is can you keep doing that, or do you got to keep changing that one? And what it seems to imply is that you can only do it for one option only out of the 4. Once you make that change, you have to get a new piece of gear. So we'll have to see how that really works out. I do think that is a shame. Honestly, I think you should be able to slowly but surely optimize that one piece of gear instead of trying to get a new piece of gear. And I think this way, one at a time, would be the best way to do it. Effectively, if you want to get the best rolls on a piece of gear at the highest levels, then you would have to need to get 4 different duplicates and steal the mods that you actually want. But who knows how that really works out, guys. My guess is min-maxing. You're really just, min-maxing the other mods on there. I just wish that it wasn't so... I hope that it's not so limiting, but we're not really too sure about the details on that yet. Next thing, guys, we're going to have weapons right here. Basically, there's going to be 2 different weapons of each type. Again, we've had that for basically the last 4 caps, I think. Actually, since the beginning of time, we've always had 2 different weapons of each kind. One's going to be focused on damage, and one will focus on skill improvements. And the big thing to take away from this, guys, is that the drop rate of each weapon will be higher compared to the others. And this actually comes as a result of the director basically getting a taste of how it is. Actually, hold up. Let me go on a little tangent here. Okay. At some point in this stream, this is where we got most of our information. Basically, we have the showrunner right here talking with the director directly, and he's kind of asking him questions, and he gets to rant and rave about the whole update. Basically, at some point in the stream, he rants for a good 15 minutes, and I think it's completely off script. Seriously, the way this goes on, this guy right here is like, okay, we got to move on, dude. But he was ranting. It was probably the funniest thing I've seen all year, because it was clear that my boy was hurt. My boy was hurt. 2 things happened to him. First and foremost, he was farming for Hells, and he kept getting all these weapons, but none of them were for his character. He's getting pissed. He's like, I'm getting all these weapons for other fucking characters. Why do I keep getting other characters' weapons? So that's one change he's going to make in 105 cap. Higher drop chance for the weapon of your class. Okay, that's big. But the other thing, the thing that was so funny, the thing that he was ranting for 15 minutes off script, was this time that he got scammed, literally scammed, from a cell raid that he bought. So I guess the story goes he joined a cell raid. He didn't really know what was going on. He wasn't following instructions. So, the sellers got pissed, and they left him in town and didn't give him his clears. And not only did they not give him his clears, they stole his money, yo. They scammed him. I cannot believe that. They must have just thought he was some nobody. He was the director of the game. They scammed him out of his monies and didn't even give him the clears. That is so effed up. So I think at some point in this interview, he does rant for 15 minutes about how he got scammed and owned. But on top of that, he also is going to be making a change to the whole idea of sellers, kind of other things he was talking about. Basically, he says that dungeon selling is too cheap for too great of a return. So what he's going to be doing is adding a fame limitation. Basically, you need to be a certain limit. Your fame needs to be a certain level before you can enter certain dungeons. But he doesn't want to make the threshold too high. So he basically said you need to get some gear before you can get carried. Which is, I just think it's funny. Basically, he's saying he's trying to make the barrier of entry for joining cells higher than what it is, because he's trying. I think he just did this to kill, sellers, because he got pissed because he got owned. He's like, you know what? I'm tired of these sellers. I'm gonna try to nuke them a little bit. So this probably isn't a big deal. Fame boosting is already a thing, but it is kind of a thing. I know some people who join cell raids and they don't have any gear whatsoever. So now they can't do that. They have to get some kind of preliminary gear, but it is possible still to fame boost. But I just think it's funny that the director, his personal experiences are shaping the way the game is turning out. And I think for the better. I think until he realizes the problems that exist in the game, he's not going to change anything. So the fact that he probably sees synergies as a problem. The one thing he didn't talk about is the buffers. We do know that the buffers are going to be changed slightly. Like, for instance, with the deeps change, they're going to be changing the buffer power to like a nominal flat amount type of thing, simplifying that. But they didn't really say that they're going to be changing them outright. We do know that sometime in the future they're going to be rebalancing them, but until we see, what we get with that, it's something to be determined. Anyway, let me go back to where we were. We're almost done though, guys. Basically, higher drop chance on the weapon. There's going to be different rarities of gears. Basically, it's kind of confusing how it's worded, but basically, once 105 cap comes out, you're not going to have to do older content. You're going to have gear that you can use. It's going to make you very, very powerful. You can farm it very quickly, and then you can start doing the normal content to get the 105 epics right away, which is really exciting. If you already have a mythic and a POW, basically they are single pieces of gear that are strong on their own, and basically they're going to be useful in 105 cap. I think it's going to take a while before the 105 cap overshadows the power of these single pieces of gear, but the idea is anything that is strong on its own without the effect of the set effect is going to be useful in 105 cap, and mainly that's just the mythic and the POW. That's the level of strength that we're talking with basically the 105 epic. So for those of you guys who have invested in POWs and mythics and stuff, getting the perfect one, they are going to be carrying over at least for a little while in 105 count. Last things to mention about the gears, guys. Of course, we are going to be inheriting and engraving. A lot of people have said in the past, the second that we're not able to do that is the second that DFOG, or DFO in general, honestly, dies, because people have invested their life into optimizing their gear. If they have to do it again, it's over. And I'm on that ship too. I am not about to do this shit over again. So this better stay forever, and it seems like it will stay. They're going to try to rebalance the gear so that you can't get any crazy setups. And one thing that they're going to be doing to avoid that is capping the cooldown reduction to 70%, which effectively kills some builds. I'm thinking like my ultra low cooldown Lightning Dance and ultra low cooldown Shadow Step and all of these low cooldown builds. Basically, the new cap, you're going to have to come up with new metas anyways, but effectively killing those type of meme builds. Oh, this is huge. They're removing the ability to gear swap while you are in dungeon. Effectively, how it works is that if there are any enemies on the map, you are not allowed to switch your gear. This is massive. Two reasons that I can think of. A lot of people use weapon swaps, like on Vagabond. If you're Deus Imagery swapping, when you use your 3A, you can't do that anymore. That's huge. Another swap that I personally use on my satyrs all the time is Vestige swap. Can't swap Vestige out anymore. So that's big. Now the one thing, it only applies to armor, accessories, and subs, so you can still creature swap, you can still title swap. That does seem like that's possible, but in gear swapping, man, I do wonder how this is going to affect a lot of us who have invested a lot of time into double setups. The one thing I hope they don't break is the swap setups, because that's literally what happens when you put your buff swap into your UI. That's what it's doing. It's swapping out all the gears and then putting back on all your gears. So hopefully it doesn't break that. But effectively, if there are any mobs in the map that you're currently fighting that are alive, you're not allowed to swap gear. Now you can swap gear in between maps, but you can't swap when there's a mob on the screen, which is what the director said. That's huge. That's a big change, and basically means you can't basically swap into a strong setup and then swap out of it like Vestige was a good strategy. You can't do Vestige strats anymore, which is a shame. Okay, guys, so enough about the gear. Let's talk about the last couple things, and these are big changes, to kind of how the game is supposed to be played. Warlord's Cry, as well as the Mind Stimulation Potion. Both of them give, Warlord 12% damage for a minute. Mind Stimulant, basically the whole dungeon you get 20% cooldown reduction. Basically removed, because they won't be necessary, they said. Now, Warlord Cry, that makes sense. Like, okay, you don't need to have 12%. You can nerf everybody by 12%. But the Mind Stimulation Potion, it is a kind of a bigger change than they're letting on here, because Mind Stim really does change the way a lot of rotations and a lot of characters play. You know, so for him to just say, oh, it's not necessary, well, 20% cooldown reduction is kind of necessary, dude. Are you telling me that you're going to be giving us 20% cooldown reduction at all times? Or that all the gear is going to have inherent cooldown reduction? Like, it's weird that he just assumes that, oh, you don't need that shit. Warlords, I get. Warlords you can literally modulate for, but Mind Stim you can't really modulate for. I wonder what they're going to do on that. But we'll see. Improvised TP effect. Basically what he's saying is lower level skills are going to have their TP readjusted, which I think was a long time coming. I think some characters could have benefited more from this. Basically every single character in the game only levels their TP skills or their high level skills and never even thought about leveling the low level skills. I think that opening this ability up might open up the door for some characters to have more spammable skills and change some builds around instead of just relying entirely on your high level skills. But I think what they're doing this for is we're going to get 10 extra levels, so that might mean 10 extra TP points. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. I don't remember that about the TP, so maybe that's what they're trying to do. Okay, they're readjusting the defensive capabilities. Basically how it works in DFOG, defensive abilities are non-existent. You can have maximum defense, you can have no defense, and it doesn't matter. And I think they're just trying to make it more meaningful. That tankier character should be tankier and shit like that. Whatever. I honestly think get good. In an action game, it's about getting good, not about tanking through stuff. Unless you're like, you know, a character who is designed to tank through stuff. Like maybe EK should have higher defense. It's just weird that they're trying to focus on this now. I think that's the least interesting change that they're doing, because I can imagine, what if those 12 amp people come in and they can't die anymore? Like, dude, they're 12 amp on every piece of gear, they can't die. So now not only are they strong as fuck, they just can't die. I think it's better to have it the way it is now instead of trying to make defense matter, you know, because you can really overscale that. But they'll probably balance it, of course. We got a new incapacitation gauge. You know, they have added these gauges to a lot of different bosses. Not this gauge in particular, but basically status effect gauges so that you know when certain things are going to happen. You know, they did this a lot with the Ozma raid, where there's these little arrows that tell you when the boss gets to certain HP. Now they have a gauge to tell you when they're going to be groggied or when they're getting hit with a certain stat effect. It's pretty cool. We'll have to see how that kind of plays out. Not a lot of characters have a ton of status effects anyways, but you can track it, and their patterns change when that bar gets full or not. So it's pretty cool. Third Awakening skill change is another big change. Basically, they're too long now. Going to try to reduce them to something like 3 seconds. So you can kind of see, as cool as the Sword Masters was, for instance, where he's actually using all 5 different weapon types. Now he's just using a lightsaber. And it's way faster, but it's not nearly as cool. It's kind of a shame. I think there should be the option to do both. Honestly, I don't think they should delete the old one. But, like, you know, for the aesthetic appeal. But maybe they should have the option to do whichever one you want. Like, if you want to do the burst one for faster damage, then you can do that. Or if you want more damage. I just kind of feel like it benefits some characters more than others. You know, some characters who have long cooldowns, they have nothing better to do than to wait for the animation. They should get more damage by you doing the full animation. But it seems like they're going to change everybody to just be quick 3-second bursts and, you know, keep at it. Most people are going to use a burst anyway. I'm just saying. I feel like you're losing so much by deleting the first part of this animation for a lot of characters. I'm thinking of like my Sword Master, my favorite awakening in the game. It's going to look like shit when it's just the last hit. Moving on, guys. They're revamping how the reinforcement amplification system works. Honestly, these are some of the biggest changes in the patch, guys. Hopefully, you guys are still watching this video, because this is some big news Morgan shit. Basically, any level 100 plus gear, reinforcement to plus 12 and amp to plus 10, there is no failure penalty. So when you fail, you don't get reduced by any amount. You just stay at this current amount. So if I'm at plus 11 and I fail, I'm not going to get sent back to fucking like plus 8 or whatever it is, you know. That is the worst feeling in the world, where you have to try to get, you basically effectively are worse off than when you started, and that shouldn't be how it is for any systems in the game. At least with the 100 cap gears, you're going to be able to have that ability. And they'll also have a fail stack system. How that works is if you fail that reinforcement, say 11 to 10 or 11 to 12, it's going to be a higher percentage the next time you try. Okay, other things are trying to make creatures more useful. We'll have to see on that. Dungeon in Life. Okay, we'll end with this goofy ass video, because Lord knows this one is like left field, bruh. So you guys know in like every MMO, they have like a housing system and a fishing system and a farming system and a town building system and a crafting system. Yeah, that's what this is. What the fuck? This is the most random bullshit ever. And they have these little mouse fucks here. Basically what I'm saying here, look at my videos, man. Basically what I'm saying here is this shit is mad weird. I'm not saying it's not appropriate. I'm just saying it's weird. Anyway, guys, we have got just a ton of other stuff. But call raids coming, boys. This is the dungeon that's going to be tight, man. This is probably one of the most interesting dungeons I've seen. They have a lot of cool set pieces that are coming. Look at this guy, yo. Look at my boy. Yo. Even the music is swanky, man. Yo, get hype. Dang, get nuked. Look at that big ass motherfucker. So it's like Gazelle's Revenge. This is like the 5th time we've killed Gazelle. He's got a lot of robots this time though. I love the giant punching robot though. That shit was tight. You're driving these little cars too. It's pretty cool. Yo, look at that. That is cool, man. That is a cool set piece. Dude, beat 'em ups need to have more of that, man. But yeah, but call raid, there's nothing on this. It's just, you know what's mad ghetto about this is, okay, first of all, this image right here, we've had this image for like 12 years. So they just reused that image. I'm surprised they decided to do that. But we're going to get Bacall Raid. We're going to get these new dungeons. Honestly, guys, I've been talking too long. I'm just going to breeze through the last part of this here. Other changes. Basically, what I said earlier, the director thinks it's too good to have too many alts and abuse the fact that we're getting 50% account bound math. So he's going to try to do something that's fair to people, to everyone, you know, not just people who have a ton of alts. And I think there has to be a balance to be struck, right? Because he has a lot of systems that do benefit people who have alts, and then he wants to try to make it fair for everyone. I don't think that's possible. I think, okay, you know, what he should do instead of it being 50%, maybe he makes it like 25%. And, you know, I think that would dissuade people from just funneling completely on one character. You're going to have to play a lot of characters before you can, you know, get the big benefit out of it. But, you know, it'd be something that's not too broken. 25% I don't think is that bad. Especially when you consider, like, VIP system is like 10% more mats. Getting 25% account bound mats doesn't seem too bad, but we'll have to see. One thing that was mentioned and people are worried about, people have been speculating, is that they're going to get rid of the talisman system because the director effectively said that he was trying to think of a system to replace it with, but then kind of realized that he didn't have enough time, and he knows that a lot of people have invested a lot of time and effort into optimizing their talismans. So effectively he's just saying, okay, we're not going to touch it for now. But a lot of people are thinking, okay, they're going to delete talismans and runes, which I think is so, like, fucked, because we've had at least 2 different level caps and 2 different dungeons that we've been farming weekly. Weekly, we've been doing this content every single freaking week, trying to optimize these talismans. Some of us are not there yet. We can't roll into the right runes or whatever. It's just so hard to get everything, like, aligned perfectly how you want it. And if they just delete that shit, I'm going to be pissed as hell. So, you know, like I said, too much effort went into it for the players. Yeah, we've been having it for 2 caps. You've been using it as content for 2 caps. So you trying to delete them from the game is absurd. One thing they're going to go back and do is make 100 level gear farming a lot easier. They're going to double the mats for Gant legs and 2s and shit. Which is, it's very appropriate for the discussion that we're having in DFOG. Actually, I'm not having it anymore. I'm done talking about this. But, you know, they're making it easier to farm gear. Go figure. You would think they would do that before releasing a brand new cap, but I guess that's what it takes. Story changes, buffing powers. Again, they're not really touching the buffers right now. There's a little bit of changes. One thing that was kind of hinted at was this idea that content is not going to require buffers. Basically, it was like a one-off, the director said, but he said for these new dungeons, they're going to be able to be ran without buffers. Effectively, what that means is that they're going to be scaled accordingly to what parties are in the dungeons, which is a way to effectively nullify the effectiveness of buffers. But even then, he does say the buff values of all 3 buffers are going to be rebalanced sometime in the future, which I'm hoping basically means nerfing them to the power of everyone else, which is kind of what I expected they were going to do. But they haven't done it yet. So effectively, I think what they've done for now as a stopgap is said, okay, you don't need buffers. They're still the same power if you do have one. And then later on, we're going to change how their buffs work entirely. We'll have to see, but they haven't really talked about the buffers. This is all about deleting synergies this patch, and hopefully the next time we get an update, they nerf the buffers. And then, of course, character rebalancing. That, obviously we saw that the Spitfire as well as the male Nen are going to be getting their just desserts here in February, and then, the other characters are going to be getting some changes as well. We'll have to see on that. But you know what else is coming in February, guys? Brand new game. Don't want to bring it up in this video, but I am excited for that as well. But anyway, guys, Knights, I am really tired of talking, and I have to edit this video up, and it's long as shit. So I hope you have enjoyed this little recap. Again, check it out yourself. And shout out again to Raven for letting me use his article here. It's really succinctly and a lot better than how I've laid it out for you. Go check it out yourself is what I'm saying. A lot of information here that I wasn't able to cover, but at least I gave my opinion. So, Knights, begone.